What do you think is the most important step of Plan, Do, Check, Act? PDCA.
Check.
What about you, Mike? PDCA, which one's most important?
Probably plan.
Probably plan, all right. Well, that is the question, actually. I'm glad you guys both chipped in there. That is the question actually asked by Greg Cresswell in his article. What is the most important step in PDCA? Boy, I'm having some real problems today. Well, let's take a quick look at each and see if we can kind of suss this out a little bit. So we're going to look at each plan, do, check, and else. So first of all, there is plan. This is actually, if you think about it, the foundation for the entire process, right? I mean, if you don't have a strategic plan with goals and steps in place, how will you know what you're working towards, says Cresswell? And this is probably the most commonly skipped step. And unfortunately, if it's ignored, your process is going to fail. I mean, so you got to really think, well, plan. So plan seems pretty important. Well, then there's do. This is where things, get done.
There you go.
So the argument for do is that it's the most important step because if it's skipped, nothing happens and there is no process to begin with. So, okay, well, do is pretty important. Then there's check. Checking confirms that you're on target to do what you said you would do. Without this step, there is no way to know if you're on track. The process can still function, but at the end of the year, you may find that you haven't achieved your goal, says Cresswell. So, I mean,
That's
again, that
important.
one sounds pretty important too.
I think so.
And then finally, there's act. So here is where you think about what went well and what could have gone better. So, if you think about it, it triggers continuous improvement. And this step is critical for standardizing the parts of the process that are working and tweaking the parts of the process that maybe need a little bit more attention. If this isn't done, you're not running a process, just a program. So, I don't know, I mean, kind of if you think about it, there isn't one that's any more important than the other. If you leave any of them out, you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, it's a unified process. It's a closed loop system, really. If you think about it, you keep on going back to the start as you go around,
right,
around and around and around. Yeah.
And I mean, well, and Mike, you've told me that you've actually got some problems with kind of plan, do, check, act, or plan, do, study, act, or
and ISO 9001 talks about this as a flexible type thing. It actually says you can use plan, do, check, act. You don't have to use it. So for those organisations that have been doing Lean or Six Sigma or any other improvement methodology, Kaizen, and they're happy with that and it's in the context of their organisation, they can still use it. Okay. I drove up here, as you know, yesterday, and it said, please check your speed.
Oh, your car told you?
Yeah, well, the sign says check. So I checked my speed, making sure I wasn't doing kilometres. But I don't study my speed, otherwise I can't drive.
Right.
So for organisations that want to do voice of the process, they have to study the process. And checking the product at the end with a gauge or a no-go gauge and all those types of things. And I think that's kind of okay. So ISO 9000 was very flexible. If you want to use whatever suits you, there's no mandatory requirement. And that's what I think is very powerful in the ISO 9001 2015, that you can use whatever you like.
And we'll talk about that. Actually, we're going to be talking about in just a little bit. So again, kind of what Mike was saying there. If it makes sense, to plan, do, check, act, or plan, do, study, act, or anything that's kind of related to that, is kind of they're all integral. They're all important to make sure that your process is verifiable and that you're doing what you say you're going to be doing, and that there's kind of a circularity, a feedback that goes into this.
Yeah, feedback loop, and they all feed off of each other, like you're saying. No one in isolation is more or less important than the others, but if you miss any of them, you're really not doing the process properly.
You got it.
That's the moral of the story, I think.